3-7.
School District Board of Education Building 37. Board of Education. I can't even talk tonight. If I only had some ice cream.
What, did the heat?
If I only had a blizzard.
Sorry.
You got a blizzard.
Oh,
Well,
nice.
hopefully, he came empty-handed. He said he had it.
Look this up, look this up.
At this time, I will call to order the Suffern Central School District Board of Education meeting. It's Tuesday, October 17, 2017. Let the record reflect that all board members are present, with the exception of Teresa Monahan, who will be here any second. My understanding is she is bringing me a coffee.
We don't want it, we're fine, Kelly, we don't want it.
So, sorry. Motion, Chair will take a motion at this time to go to executive session for the purposes of 1, discussing superintendent of schools employment agreement, 2, discussing superintendent of schools individual employment agreements for unaffiliated employees, 3, reviewing with the attorney for the Board of Education legal issues pertaining to Article 78 proceeding concerning student records, 4, reviewing with the attorney for the Board of Education email communication from parent, 5, reviewing with the attorney for the Board of Education status of collection of taxes bill, 6, reviewing the attorney for the Board of Education status of ward system bill. 7, discuss with the superintendent of schools, assistant superintendent of instruction, and attorney for the Board of Education new academic initiative and related legal issues. Hi, Teresa. Monty, was that a move? Second, Paul. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let the record reflect that Teresa Monahan voted aye. Was here for the motion. All right, upstairs, here we go. Excellent job.
Oh, no.
All rise. Oh, no, wait a minute. Yes, I think the Yankees are losing, so. Oh, we had all rise. Oh, so am I not supposed to say that? Oh, no, I'm sorry. I think we don't rise yet. We don't rise. For the Yankees. For the Teresa got it. Thank you. My only friend.
I got it.
All right, so at this time, I will be called to order the Suffern Central School District Board of Education meeting Tuesday, October 17th. Let the record reflect again, all board members are present. Now, if we could please rise.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, 1.07, this is the public hearing on the district-wide emergency response plan. This is a public hearing which gives the public an opportunity to make comment on the emergency response plan, which is attached to the agenda. It's on the website. I'm sorry, it's on the website. It's voluminous, is it not? Yes. Anyway, so at this time I will open the hearing for public comment. If you have a comment with respect to the plan, please step up to the podium. Okay, seeing none, I will. Oh wait, I stand corrected. Thank God, Angela, just. I'm glad you're here. I do have one comment, just for the record. I did receive one comment. This was submitted somehow in writing. I'm not sure if it was an email or if it was mailed in. Not quite sure. So it will be entered into the record. Just so it's noted that there is one comment. Any other comment from those members of the audience who are present? No. Okay. So I'm good. Close. Thank you. All right, so I'll close the public hearing on the district-wide emergency response plan. Student report, I know.
He's here.
Oh, there you are. Welcome.
Good evening. Hope everyone's doing well. Here's what's going on at the high school. Each day this week, there will be college visits during Unit Lunch available to all students. This Thursday, the 19th, Google Expeditions will be coming to the high school to test out new augmented reality technology. They will be testing out the new technology for their Pioneer program in some of the upper level and AP classes. Friday, the 20th, is the start of our athletic superstar competition. Next Monday, the 23rd, the TAB Club, or the Teens Against Distracted Driving Club, will be having a survivor tour. Save a life, sorry. The TAG Club is part of a 20% project initiated by a few students in the Cambridge program. They educate high school students on the dangers of distracted driving. As a part of their Save a Life tour, there will be an impaired driving and a distracted driving simulator in the gym, brought to the school for the whole day. Tuesday, October 24th, is the open house for prospective tuition-paying students. Wednesday, the 25th, is the World Language Honor Society induction. And finally, next week will be the start of the Sam Club's Thanksgiving food drive, which will run through November 17th. As I have mentioned before, the Sam Club or the Students Assisting Meals on Wheels Club, is a club that I started with a couple of my friends to collect food through the school to donate to Meals on Wheels of Rockland. This year, we're reaching out to all freshmen history classes in hope of collecting as much food as possible. That's all for this meeting announcement.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, superintendent's comments? Did I miss those?
Minutes, yeah.
I'm glad, I'm just in such a rush to get out of here. All right, so let me back up to 1.09. That would be the minutes of the regular meeting of October 3rd, 2017. Chair would entertain a motion to accept those minutes as so stated.
I'll make the motion.
That would be a Clark. Second,
Second.
that would be a Tommy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstentions? Teresa Monahan abstains. Okay, now, superintendent's.
We have 3 reports tonight, and in light of that, I'll forego my comments.
Thank you. 1.11 is public participation. This is public participation as to action items only. Those are those items before me, 2.01 through 2.24. Session will last no longer than 30 minutes. If you have a comment with respect to those items, please step up to the podium, state your name, school affiliation, address your remarks to the Board of Ed. You'll have 3 minutes to make any such comment. Seeing none? Seeing none, I will close that portion of the meeting. Okay, action items. Amani, is there something that needs to be pulled?
Yeah. Thanks for giving me a hand. Board President, please pull out 2.02 down to 2.13, as well as, that's why I couldn't give you the numbers, I didn't know what they moved to. 2.22 and 2.24. Thank you.
Okay, so let the record reflect then, because I would like to do a consent agenda for the remaining items. So with the exception of 2.20 through 2.13, 2.02, right? Yep, 2.0 through 2.13. Also including 2.22 and 2.24, I'll pull those for a separate vote. As with respect to the remaining items, Chair will entertain a motion to accept those as so stated.
So moved.
Teresa, second?
Second.
Amani, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? None, okay. Amani, for the 2.02 through the 2.13, can I do those? Is the vote the same for those?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to do those as a consent also then. So, correct?
Yes, I'd like to have a discussion with the board.
Right, but your vote will be, I'm not going to
Yes,
pull any.
they're all the same. No, without 2, 2, and 4.
Exactly, right.
2, 2, 1, 3.
Okay, so 2.02 through 2.13.
correct.
Chair would entertain a motion to accept those as so stated.
So moved.
Teresa, second.
I'll second it.
Clark, discussion. Amani.
Thank you. Okay, so we've been having conversations that are, personnel specific, that happen privately, obviously, but my conversation is not personnel specific, not about any of the contracts specifically, but overall, in general, as to the system of how we're doing this. I've officially requested, and I want that on record, from the President of the Board of Education to hold a special meeting sometime before the holidays, so that we're ready in the spring to, during budget season, to actually budget for all non-union employees that we have who are on the list today. In all fairness to the superintendent, as well as those who are having their contracts renewed, to have an expectation what the tiers are going to be, what the expectations are in terms of salary increases moving forward. I've asked for this in the past because it occupies weeks and weeks where, you know, we discuss it, but we don't really have criteria to base it on. And I'm asking for a special meeting. I still don't see it on the schedule. If you could please schedule a special meeting sometime maybe in November when we only have one meeting scheduled. We can have a second one to discuss with comparisons to other districts, what they do, maybe with some of that information gathered to make Dr. Adams' job and everybody else's easier in coming with these recommendations. Obviously, they're evaluated based on criteria that, you know, superintendent takes care of. But then how do we tie that into numbers? We don't have criteria. The school board needs to have criteria to follow. Also, you know, do these criteria get followed year to year equally, or does it depend on our budget? Does it depend on what's happening with our taxes as taxpayers? Are they going to be tied like, you know, in corporate world? We argued, should it be like the corporate world or not, where it depends how the company does? No, it's a little different here. We're running a school district. So we've had those conversations, but we again don't tie it to, are we having a tax increase this year or not? So for example, this year in particular, we're having a tax increase of, beyond the year before, of 1.21%, okay, in terms of the rate. So on a year as such, do we give the same raises or we don't? Because we cumulatively, in the last 3 years, I've seen this, given over 10% of raises. Is that acceptable? Should it be exactly the same every year? Should it be different? We don't have criteria to follow, and I'm really asking for that meeting to happen so that we can have solid grounds to base it on.
That's fair.
And we did discuss it, we talked about having a meeting sometime at the end of the year, or maybe even early January, but I'll send emails out to the board.
We have to, it cannot be kicked down.
Okay, so, okay, I know, we've had this discussion, so, okay, so at this point, I'll.
Yes, I just didn't see anything scheduled, and I want to emphasize how
Because
important.
we were going to do it in January, so I'm going to schedule it now, but, yeah, and I'll poll the board and see when you guys want to do it. So
Thank you.
Whatever you want to do.
Thank you.
Chair, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Abstentions?
I abstain.
Abstain. Okay, 2.22, Chair, entertain a motion to accept 2.22 as so stated.
So moved.
Teresa, second.
Second.
Tommy, although, discussion.
Okay, Dr. Adams, this is a program, I'm not sure if it is a recurring program or it is a new program. If you can please explain a little bit about it. Thank you.
Over the last couple of years, we've had numerous comments, concerns, complaints about the backpack. And so over a year ago, we began to research different programs as a replacement for the backpack. And we took a look at districts within Rockland County, districts in Westchester, and there seemed to be coalescing around this peach jar. It's supposed to be very user-friendly. The graphics are different, and it's supposed to enhance our communication, which was also part of our strategic plan to help promote our branding. And we believe that the peach jar system will do just that. But it will be a replacement, so whatever we were expending on the backpack will be replaced by peach jar.
How is the cost in comparison? Sorry, how's the cost in comparison to what we have currently?
Peach jar is more expensive.
Okay.
I'd say about twice as expensive.
Okay, and the benefits that justify what are the better things that we get with this program that justify the doubling the cost?
Well, we believe that the concerns have been brought to our attention regarding the backpack. Part of it's organizational. Sometimes you look at backpack and there'll be something from September and then December and then it'll go back to April, and there's not good sequencing there. Peach jar will keep it in a nice systematic way. So people that don't look at backpack every day will be able to go back and say, oh, yep, we had that. It's organized a lot better. We think that it will help us in terms of the attractiveness of the system that we're using, whereas before, Backpack is something that some people, because of the way it's messaged, would just ignore the messages. We want to make sure that when we get the messages, when we send out a message, that people will pay attention to it, and we believe that Peach Jar will help us with that.
Okay, great. So it sends alerts, like the Backpack post would send alerts if you subscribe.
Yes.
Does the parent have the option to subscribe or not?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And finally, final question, privacy issues. How secure is their system? What credentials do we have regarding their security?
They're approved by New York State in terms of their security protocol. We have not independently assessed that. We've just relied on New York State for that.
And any other districts in Rockland use them?
Yes. Steve would have that list. Steve's out sick tonight. I do not have that list, but we can get the list to the board.
But we found out that other districts are using them.
Yes.
They've had a good experience.
Yes.
Okay, I just would have loved to know a little more than I did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstentions? Okay, I'm gonna hand the baton over to the chief. No, he's gonna do it.
Okay, we're gonna,
Sorry, there's a college night at RCC, and I have a college kid who,
got it, enjoy it.
sorry, call me right if you need me. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Okay, 2.24,
Good idea.
a motion to accept 2.24. Okay, second.
Second.
Thank you, Ann. Kwani.
Okay, I just need a little bit of clarification on that transfer. Maybe Eric can give us that.
Yes, that's for two items, one of which is the fiber transfer from the old equipment racks into the new. Each building has a fiber connection that delivers the internet to the building. They're currently in the old racks. We need to have them moved by the company that owns that fiber into the new. The other item is for an Apple Enterprise Agreement, which we need to solve an issue we're having with the new Macs that were delivered with the new network. This was an issue that the Macs shipped with, so I need Apple Enterprise to weigh in on this. Those are those.
Do we expect more of the same, like a recurring thing, or these were isolated items?
It depends on whether Apple decides to put out software that has issues with it. That's kind of, we're all at that mercy. This isn't a year-long agreement that if anything else does happen, I have unlimited items that I can go to them for.
They don't warranty it for a period of time, or?
It's a service agreement for a year period.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so we plan to renew that every year?
If needed, this particular issue is affecting several of our Mac labs in all of the buildings where students cannot log in. And we've hit our head against the wall as far as what we can do internally. And we need to pull in some higher level Apple resources that are used to integrating Macs with our Active Directory environment.
Okay, so we can't predict if we need it moving forward or not.
As with any piece of technology, there's always things that arise that we can't predict. The companies do have carte blanche to push out updates whenever they see fit. If a security issue is grave enough, Google does this, Cisco does this, Apple does this quite often. And I really want to make it Apple's problem because it's a problem they created.
But it's costing us though, even though.
Correct. But the level, I've already exhausted all the support that I can without having to pay. At this point, I need like an system engineer to come and take a look at this.
And I'm not trying to be difficult, I'm just wondering if it's something we should budget for every year. That's the purpose of my question. If it's something you recommend to us as a board,
I'd recommend to have some level.
to be on the safe side, it's like, you know, warranting my fridge and stove and
There is a warranty,
dishwasher.
but it's not for this level of integration.
Okay, so this was out of the ordinary.
This was out of the ordinary, and there is a limited events that we can purchase, but right now I don't know how long this problem is going to take to solve, or if it's going to take multiple instances. In the future, I definitely will compare whether I need an unlimited versus a limited instances.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Monty. Okay, 2.24, budget transfer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, thank you. We're going to now go to administrative reports. The first one will be athletic expenditures by Ms. Isolde and Mr. Guccione. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Andy Guccione. This is Teresa Isold, so we'll be presenting the,
Moving target.
I'm not sure she's going So we're presenting the 2016-2017 budget.
Do we have a pointer? A red pointer? No. Laser pointer.
That pointer down, but I have a pointer.
Okay, first off, I'd like to announce that our JV girls soccer team went to Pearl River today and upset the #1 seed and won the JV County Championship. Okay, there's a lot on each slide, so we'll kind of move slowly through it. Thank you. There we go. I need the red dot, that's what I need. Okay, so we have 80 teams total at modified level, freshman, JV, and varsity. We did not have any changes as far as teams go last year. Okay, the most recent change we had was in girls basketball. That was 2 years ago. If you look over here, we added a freshman girls basketball team 2 years ago. The previous year, we had added a second modified team so that it would model the boys program with 4 teams in each program. And then we transitioned it to a freshman team a year ago. And other than that, all the teams that we offer are the same as they were the previous year. So we have 80 teams again total. And these are all the teams, so I'll give you another 30 seconds to take the slide, and it's quite a bit of information. Okay. There we go. Okay, so these are our numbers, and the way we break these numbers down, you see the population on each team of students on the left side, and on the other hash was the number of coaches that we have per team for that program. So up here we have baseball, we have 1 modified baseball coach, 16 boys on the freshman team with 1 coach, 17 boys on the JV baseball team with 1 coach, and then 15 boys on the varsity with 2 coaches, for a total of 67 baseball players in the district last year at all levels, with 5 total coaches. So that's the way we did this. Again, everything here is the same as it was the previous year, except with crew, our numbers have been rising very steadily in crew as far as student participation. So we did add a 0.5 position right here. So now with 2.5 positions total in crew coaches, we had 2.0 the year before. That was the only change as far as coaching staff from the previous year. And then some of our numbers were pretty consistent. They dipped a little bit on the girls' side. We noticed a little bit of a dip in cross country. We're looking at cross country right here. Our girls' program is down a little bit in numbers of girls cross country. We did have a bump in boys lacrosse, especially at the high school level, where we had 35 varsity and we had 25 on the JV. So most of the other numbers came in pretty close, or very comparable to the numbers that we had the year before. They're all tallied here at the bottom, where we had a total of 1,813 athletes over the 3 seasons and 112.0 coaching positions. Any questions from the board yet? Okay.
So here's the cost, and the cost you're going to notice if you look from last year has gone up about $150,000. The biggest cost here increase is in equipment, because we have $100,000 for the crew boats, which we have not seen the grant for that yet, which we're still working with the county government to get the grant. So that's the biggest cost here. There's some changes in coaches' salaries. Andy mentioned they added a half a coach, and also some extra duties with just people making more money with the steps, no different. But also we added some people for scoring or things like that, where we had some general extra duty. But basically the numbers are pretty much the same except for those 2 items. You get it, when you see now. And here's your total cost, just shown a little differently, same sort of thing. Basically the same numbers as last year, nothing crazy, nothing different. This equipment is a little bit higher again for that $100,000, which you're going to see throughout this presentation. You're going to see that $100,000, it's in everything we're doing here. It just makes the numbers a little off from the previous year, but when you take those out, it's basically the same numbers. This is the total cost by sport. Again, crew's way up there because of the $100,000. If not, it'd be falling to after cross-country, before golf, basically where it was last year. So for the most part, except for crew, things are probably about the same. And then we break it down by sport. Again, that $100,000 is throwing crew way off. It's you know, about $900 a kid. That would bring them, sorry. They were 5th last year. Because as you can see, we spend a good amount of money per student. Last year was $836 this year, at $891. Again, the crew, push that up. Keep going, yeah.
I just want to touch on a couple of things. Sometimes people look at this and they say, oh my gosh, gymnastics, how could it be so expensive? Well, when you look at gymnastics and bowling, we do have to pay for transportation for some of their practices, particularly with bowling, which jumps their numbers quite a bit. And you can't really run a sport for less than about $20,000, because if you have 2 coaching positions, like in gymnastics, which is a safety issue, we don't carry the 2 coaches, or you have transportation like bowling, where we have to transport them to one of the 3 alleys, that raises their price a little bit. But the bottom line is it's very hard to carry any sport for less than $20,000, and because they only have 17 and 14, as opposed to crew that is 89 or football that is 112, that jumps their per student number quite a bit higher. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that. Okay, there's one other thing I want to go back to this slide. Okay, transportation. One thing I just want to mention to the board about transportation. We've had, in looking at it, we have a number of double-header sports. And what I mean by that is in the fall, field hockey, girls volleyball, boys volleyball, all play varsity, then JV on the same location. Mainly it's because they don't have enough officials in the section to have them in separate locations like they do for soccer or lacrosse, some of the other sports we have. So what we did was I gave the coaches a few opportunities to add a second bus so that whoever played first could come home earlier, so they're not out till 8 o'clock but watching another game for 2 hours up in Arlington, just to make it a little more academically sound. So I did give coaches an opportunity to pick 2 games that are away in Westchester or Putnam County or Dutchess County, that they could have 2 buses, one for the JV, one for the varsity, so the team that plays first could come home early and get an extra hour and a half to hit the books or whatever it is they need to do. So there might be a slight bump in transportation next year, but not substantial. And also there's a lot of variables in transportation that are not in our control. For example, we sent the team over to a field hockey game. It thundered while they were on the bus over there. We had to send the bus back. We still have to pay for that bus, and now we have to pay for another bus to go to the makeup game. So there are things like that that aren't completely in our control. But I will say our transportation, our busing budget has been very consistent.
Very little difference from year to year. Even with these little changes that we've made, there's very little.
Okay, so these are our total numbers by participation by gender. 54% for the males, 46% for the female. 5 years ago, we were at about 58-42, and I think with some of the changes that we made, we did drop 2 boys JVP sports. We added a girls team. We brought it to as close as about 52-48. This year it dipped a little bit on the girls' side. I think it's more of a cyclical thing. I don't see any disturbing patterns to make me think it's going to continue to go in that direction, but we're always looking at it. So there was supposed to be a nail there, but okay, this is obviously a breakdown by expense, by gender. There it is. Okay, these are our team accomplishments from last year. Our boys volleyball were section champions. There are more teams in the section adding boys volleyball. Eastchester added a team this year. Scarsdale added a team the year before. So it is starting to be a growing sport in section 1. The largest sport, section 2, is the largest presence of boys volleyball. Section 2 is the Albany area. They have about 20 to 25 teams. So I think we're following suit, and I think you're going to see more boys volleyball teams added. Then underneath that, underneath that, you can see our league and county champions from last year. We had quite a few. Okay, last year we had 6 Journal News Scholar Athletes of the Week, which is a good number. It was tied for first in the county, but it was actually down from the previous year where we had 8. We had 2 Rockland County overall senior athletes in the season. What that means is, for the county, you have 6 athletes total from all the schools that get overall county athlete of the season. So you have 1 male, 1 female from the fall, 1 male, 1 female from the spring, and 1 for both for the winter as well. And we had 2 of those 6. So consider there are 11 schools in the county. 2 out of 6 is a pretty good percentage. And then we had 5 Rockland County for their individual sport, which means they were considered by the newspaper, voted as the best player in the county for their specific sport. 2 All-Americans. We were down a little, probably primarily because our track program has been pretty unbelievable for many, many years. Last year we didn't have quite as many go to that level as we had in the past with nationals, but I expect to bounce back soon. And then we have 9 all-state athletes, which is comparable to the year before, as are the next 2 numbers, 55 all-section, 41 first-team all-county athletes. Okay, if you go to niche.com, they rank Suffern as the 9th best high school in New York State. That's out of about 700 high schools, which is a very distinguishable ranking. This follows 2 years ago, the Kerr Cup ranking, which is the New York sports writers, based on your postseason performance of all your athletic programs. That year, you might recall, we had a volleyball team win the state title. Our girls lacrosse team took 2nd. Our girls cross country team took 3rd. Our wrestling team was section champs, and our track team outscored every other team at the state tournament. So that was a really exceptional year for us, that we were ranked 1st in New York State overall in female athletics in that previous year, 2014-2015. Okay, any questions?
Keep going, Andy. Good job.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you.
Andy, I have a question.
Yes, sure.
Could you come up with how many athletes we have who are either dual sport or very rare, three sport athletes?
Sure, I can come up with that number.
Okay.
So, you want the number from last year, or do you want me to compile the number for this year, for next year?
It could be from last year. Fine.
Okay, sure. I'll need maybe a week or so if I can get that information to
As
you.
long as it takes.
Okay, sure, no problem.
That's great.
You know, the other thing too, in comparison, the total cost per expense, like if we could just have what it was last year, but not now, but going forward.
Sure.
It would be nice to compare how much did we spend for the salaries.
In this one, you're talking about?
Yeah, so just so we can see how much did we spend dollar-wise versus this year versus last year. You know, I know you talked to it as far as some of the reasons, but just have that comparison black and white, that would be helpful information.
Yeah,
Totally, exactly,
I
I was just
agree.
about to say that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and what did you say the total was for the previous year?
It was about $150,000 left. And most of that is the crew, and just the crew boats, the $100,000 that we're expecting to get
So we're
back.
expected to get that back, though.
Right, and then the $50,000, around 50, is for salaries, between adding another coach, the steps, and also adding some other general extra duty that we need, you know, we have more athletes and so forth.
So out of that 150,000 increase, we're looking at getting 100 of that recouped.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
So I'll second that request, I think, seeing the,
What's the previous year's total
Oh, yeah.
numbers in comparison next to?
I totally second that, because you guys know the numbers off the top of your head, and we don't remember them, because we don't remember something. And when do we expect that $100,000? Is there a timeline?
It's really a political red tape here.
So
And, you know, and we're talking about it over a year now.
What was that grant?
I'm sorry?
What was the grant for?
That was from David Carlucci for crew boats.
For the crew boats specifically, okay. So it was a Carlucci for boats.
We used it for what it was meant for, we're just waiting for it.
Exactly.
Okay, we can push for that and advocacy. It's okay. Make it up. And the drop of 4% in girls athletes, and I know you said that's almost cyclical, and
I don't think, I think last year.
2% drop.
It's about to be there.
Is it specific to a certain sport? Did we look at what sports?
Yeah, one thing I mentioned before, that the girls cross country numbers were notably down, especially the modified. This year, I know this year's numbers are up. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head exactly how many kids are on the team right now. It's such a strong program that we have, though, that I'm very confident that Coach Dempsey and the assistant coaches will get that number back up. And the boys across carried an unusual, usually the varsity coaches don't carry that many kids. They had 35 in the varsity. They're just trying to get the kids You know,
Okay.
not negative, but there are a couple things like that that skewed the numbers a little bit, I think. But other than those two sports, nothing really substantial I saw that where the notable drop of more than where that would really take note of it.
Mine just made me think of something. What is our breakdown of male versus females generally in the district? And how does that compare?
That's a good question, I don't know that.
Yeah. Number of students.
Because that's
I was thinking
always been a
about
hot button of mine with girls in
We'll look at
athletics
it.
and having the right number of teams and being equal, so.
We'll look into it. But like what Andy's saying too, what you saw are two things. You saw an increase in male participation in a few of these sports and a decrease. So that's what made it even bigger than, you know, the drop in females wasn't really as that big. It's just the comparison now made it.
Right. But I would be just curious what the breakdown is, so.
We'll look into it.
Thank you.
I don't know how you keep track of these schedules with that many athletes, but great job and thank you very much.
Thank you. My secretary is Mrs. Lewis, and she does all the work.
Yes, and she's wonderful. Hooray for both of you.
Okay. Thanks, all.
Thank you. Reports. The first one will be CSIP, which is Comprehensive School Improvement Plan. Sagawar from Cherry Lane. Thank you for being here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, and good evening, everybody. And I want to say thank you to Dr. Adams and the board for allowing me to tell you all the wonderful things that are taking place at Cherry Lane. So I'm really excited to share with you. Thank you. Okay, so this year our theme is a partnership in discovering and building a 21st century mindset. And what we're doing is we're continuing our journey together by providing our students with a safe and nurturing environment that is consistent of mutual respect, while we also challenge and empower them to achieve their academic potential. So I'm starting my third year at Cherry Lane, and the longer I'm part of this wonderful school, the more it becomes evident to me how resilient our students are, how they embrace and love and enjoy being humanitarians, how empathetic they are and they feel for those around them, and how creative they are, because if they are given permission to make mistakes throughout the learning process, they are willing to do so. So we are really excited, and I can't wait to share with you a little bit more about our school and how special it is. So there are many factors and components that go into preparing a student for the 21st century. Many of these elements build upon each other, they're integrated with one another, and this actually is just a visual representation that signifies all the components that and how each of them are part of the success of Cherry Lane. Tonight I'm going to share with you about three main components: increasing student achievement and literacy, math, and improving student behavior and attendance. And this is this will help us improve our practice and help us continue on making sure our students are successful. So the first goal this year, the first priority, is to increase our student achievement and literacy. And as you can see, there are a few interventions that we utilize. Those interventions are indicated around the circle area, and I'm going to share with you what's new in Cherry Lane and also some key data points. So I won't be going through all of them, but I will be highlighting what's new for us this year, okay? And we are very excited this year. We have been selected as a TC project school. What does that mean for us? Well, that means that we get the privilege of working with TC staff developers throughout the course of the year. Our K-2 teachers actually get to work with a specific staff developer, and our 3-5 teachers also get a chance to work with a specific staff developer. And this works in cycles and allows our teachers to actually hone in on their craft of teaching. And our focus continues to be writing, and that's exactly in line with the writing units of study that we have adopted a little over a year ago. So we're really excited. We're very giddy about our TC project school this year. And what's really wonderful is that we're also a project school along with Montebello, and she's going to share with you. But we can also share with each other, and our teachers can actually collaborate and talk together. So we're really excited about that piece this year. Okay, this is our NWEA map, and it reflects our students' growth over the past 3 years in grades 2 through 5. And what NWEA does, it allows us to see our students and if they've met or exceeded their growth potential. And we continue to use that data throughout the course of the year to hone in on specific students and also to expand our goals throughout the school of what we need to kind of grasp and understand where our students are at and where they need to go. We also are utilizing Achieve 3000, which is a web-based reading program for our 3rd through 5th grade students that differentiates instruction and students' reading levels. We started the program actually in December of 2015, and the data, as you can see, the data shows us that if the students are actually using the program, it does increase their lifestyle levels. So, but I will admit that we're finding it challenging to get our students excited about the program and to use the program during their IE time. So we have decided to incentivize the program this year. So this year we're announcing weekly top readers. Today was actually our first day that we did that. And then we are also going to start announcing monthly top grade level readers. So we're looking forward to seeing how this new incentive program actually gets our students excited about the program and seeing if it increases our usage. All right, and we move along. Our second priority is, of course, to increase the student achievement in math. And one of the things that we're doing new this year is called the Dream Box. It's a new initiative this year. However, we did pilot this program last year, and we found success in the implementation of it. Dreambox is an adaptive web-based learning tool for our grades K through 2 students, and our 3-5 AIS students use it. It meets the needs. It meets the students at where they are at, and allows the teachers to look at the student data and align instructional focus. So what it does is the teachers can actually look at real-time data and see where the kids are at and where they need help. And then it can align their focus along with whatever it is they're teaching, or perhaps it's just something that the students are working on individually to kind of focus that student's instruction. So it's a really nice tool for our teachers, and it really does empower them and move that forward. And then, of course, just like our ELA, our NWA math allows us to see if our students have met or exceeded their growth projection. And as you can see right here, the mean red for the fall and then also this spring show an increase in all grade levels. We're doing well. There's still areas to grow, though. That's why we always hone in on that. We see what our areas of focus are, and we continue to strive and improve those for our students. All right. Our third priority is to improve student behavior and attendance. So how are we doing that? Our character education program helps us with this. We continue to develop this over the course of the years. I have a great character ed committee who is always thinking and always reaching and always improving and seeing what's best for our kids. We are continuing to include our monthly character ed books for our curriculum, but this year we decided to add a growth mindset piece or component to it. And what we're doing is, for example, for the month of September and October, we actually have 2 months where we focus on respect as one of the character traits. And so what we decided to do in September, they have a character ed book that really focuses on respect. But in October, we never had, that kind of carried over, that same character book. So what we decided to do, there's three times within the course of the year that we're adding a growth mindset book. So our first growth mindset book in October is The Girl Who Never Made Mistakes by Margaret. So we're excited about that. We also decided to add our terrific Tiger tickets at lunch and recess. And this is basically to help us foster that positive play during those unstructured times. We know we have to incentivize that to get our students excited about it. They seem to be really excited. We are noticing some slight improvement. It is only October, but we're still hopeful that those tickets will continue to be something that the kids want to work towards. The little ones love their tickets. So, last year was the second year that the 4th and 5th grade students participated in the Olvea survey. And what this does is gives us a baseline data on how our students are feeling, where they need some help with, and what we can focus our instructional planning on with our school psychologist and our social worker. So we are making some strides. Our percentage of students being bullied dropped 2% last year, but we still have a lot of work to do in this area. And if you see the last bar graph, it shows the national comparison. So we are below national comparison, but again, we'd like to see a continuous drop in that piece or component. We're at 13%. Of course, we'd like to see it 0%. We'd like everybody to report there's nothing that they're worried about during the school day. Okay, and then part of the second, one of our other our focuses last year was for our students to report their concerns to the adults in their lives, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a parent, or maybe an older sibling, or even a friend. And we do understand that kids are going to have different relationships with the people in their lives, like different cohorts, you know, maybe have a stronger parental bond. Some of them have a stronger parent, not parent, but a sibling or a friend that they always go to. But what we kind of focus on is the told nobody. What really bothered me when I saw the data last year is that I had 26% of my kids that were not telling anybody that something was going on. That's just unacceptable. So we focused on telling somebody, reporting it, even if it's to a teacher or a friend, whatever might be going on, let us know, let us help you. And that did drop by 4%, so we're, or 5%, so we're excited about that. But we still, like I said, we still have some work to do in that area. So, our frequent, we also focus on our frequent and chronic attendance and increasing our parent communication to help with that, whether we were sending parent letters home or making those phone calls. So it did show up in a slight decrease, so we're on the right path and we're going to continue that this year. Our makerspace at Cherry Lane has grown incredibly this year. Our students have become Tinkering Tigers, and the exposure and level of critical thinking, the collaboration, the problem solving, and the creativity is just, in one short year, has been tremendous. But there continues to be room to expand that. We are working with our teachers and our instructional facilitator, Andrea Edwards, who happens to be here tonight, on a gradual release model that we are calling our Makerspace Partnership. And you can see that our students will be getting exposure at least once a trimester through this partnership. But not only that, this doesn't include that the exposure they're going to be getting through their art classes, which is important also with Nicole McKenzie. She's a wonderful art teacher. She continues to coach Makerspace curriculum that's infused and embedded within her art program. And just pick up the Twitter page. You can see it's all over there. She's doing a wonderful job. So this space actually continues to reinforce that growth mindset approach, and that mistakes are part of the learning process, and that perseverance is part also of being successful. So I heard that Google AR is actually coming to the high school. I think that's fantastic and that's wonderful. It just left Cherry Lane Elementary, and it's part of our ongoing growth as a district and as a school revolves around partnerships and learning and collaborating with each other throughout the district. So we did have an opportunity a few weeks ago to do the Google Augmented Reality program. And what happened, it was an application that our art teacher, Mrs. McKenzie, kind of applied for over a year and a half ago. And we were able to have our grades 2 through 5 students participate in it. And we actually had enough room in our schedule to invite all of our 3rd grade students across the district to be bused into Cherry Lane and actually experience it also. I have to say, the faces that these kids made throughout this was incredible. They were, no matter what school they were in, the faces that they made were really just authentic. It was so much fun. I mean, Mr. Walker was there, and Mrs. Weber was there. There was a lot, and the faces they were making, you know. So it was pretty great. The students were able to look at like the human muscular system, landforms, space. There was actually a floating asteroid belt that was right there in front of them. That was pretty cool, the planets and stuff. They were actually able to look for natural disasters. And because it's a beta type, we were able to give some feedback to Google. So that was incredible too. Our kids were able to give that feedback to them. So we really enjoyed that. And we hope to be doing stuff like that in the future. So again, there are many factors and components that go into preparing all of our students for being students for the 21st century. They continue to build on each other. They integrate with one another, and all of these and many more components go into goes into what the success of Cherry Lane looks like and feels like. So now what I'd like to do is share this Makerspace video, and what it does is it highlights the growth and curriculum integration and creativity of our students. And I want to thank Mrs. Gilardi Hess, who's actually here tonight, for preparing this. She's wonderful. She's moving to the middle school next year. I'm not happy about that. So I will be giving her a call though and asking her to continue to do our videos. But thank you, Mrs. Hess.
You never leave Cherry.
Okay. Do I hit play? Okay, thank you.
Nope.
Makerspace is where kids come over and create projects.
A makerspace is a place where kids can be creative, they can be problem solvers, critical thinkers. They can really have a say in their own learning.
This is a scoreboard. Basically, where you slide this, the points go up. Carolina, Alexandra, and me were making a doghouse for Dash. Some kids work together or on their own. This is a Sphero. I programmed it to go around a maze. We were looking for something complicated to do so that we could do it together. And the kids help each other and work independent. To go. We need to go this. We got things and Dash plays the xylophone.
This is a Probot. It's a car-like robot. I've just programmed it to go all around the table.
I'm working on practicing with symmetry on symbol paint, and graphic designers use this. So what I made is like drums using the makey, and I hooked it up to scratch, and then made this. And tinfoil is a drumstick.
We're looking at the natural fits that our current curriculum has. So kids are learning something they're doing in the classroom, and what piece or component of that lesson can we extend into the makerspace to be able to solidify that learning process for them.
For instance, in 4th grade, they had a science unit on simple machines.
Wheel and axle, lever, wedge, incline plane.
And then when they came down here to the makerspace, they used Connects to create different types of machines.
This is our lever wheel. I like to call it a lawnmower that can pick up stuff.
We also had a unit on electricity and magnetism.
The black is ground, and then the red is power.
And they added lights to it, or they added a motor to it.
The makerspace allowed us to have a full ceramics program now at Cherry Lane. So we were able to make sundials. We fired them in the kiln, and then we took the sundials outside and we were able to actually use them. And it was really exciting. Right now, this is a place where they can come and they can get dirty, and they can get on the floor, and the teachers don't have to worry about all the clutter and everything. The makerspace, it expands into the art room. We're able to draw and paint from observation outside. So we also have a 3D printer. With a 3D printer, you can make anything. We use the Spheros to paint. The students have learned about color mixings, and we've talked about Jackson Pollock. So it's a great opportunity to combine color theory, art history, and robotics.
These are Autobots. You press there and it's like this. See how it's changing color? We're using color and line to code. This is our Artbot. It makes perfect circles.
They are little inventors. They are coming into Cherry Lane, and they're coming up with their entire design process, collaborating with other elementary school students, and they're coming up with these fantastic ideas.
We also have these Mega Blasters. 3, 2, 1, go.
Sometimes the makerspace will spark an idea, and the students will just go push it so much further than we had even anticipated it going.
A group of boys had heard about Morse code.
You could do it with beeps, like a long beep for a dash and a short beep for a dot.
So they downloaded a chart and they made a script.
That's high.
By their inquiry, the kids themselves are discovering new things and adding on to the curriculum that we already have as they're pursuing it really at a higher level.
They're learning about simple machines, they're learning about engineering, they're learning about coding, and they don't even realize that they're learning.
We have a room here that we call a makerspace, but a makerspace is more a mentality, a way of doing things.
This is a different way of teaching. This is a different way of students learning. And the hope is this just starts happening in the classrooms. And it will. We have some great teachers at Cherry Lane, so I'm really excited about that.
Do you have any questions? Thank you.
I'm excited.
Yes.
Very good job, thank you. The bullying piece, and as I was listening to that piece, I'm just wondering, so the percentage that don't report anything. Is there
21.
anything within the program as far as, I hate to say the word see something, say something, but there are a lot of different reasons why the individual might not feel comfortable and the teachers may not see it. What about other students, and is there any training around that and discussion about that from a character building standpoint as well? Because
So right now our focus is on making sure students are reporting, and for our K-2 it's inclusive, and for our 3 through 5 it's digital citizenship, cyberbullying, that sort of thing. We don't have anything embedded within the program right now that focuses just on that, other than continuously saying to students to tell and to make sure you're reporting what's going on and what's happening. And but that's a piece that we can look at as a character ed, and it's something that we have spoken about. So thank you for the question.
I just need a clarification and education on the priority one, the student achievement and literacy. If we can pull that graph, I just want to understand it a little better. Let's towards the beginning.
It's in blue.
It's a blue, yes, blue screen. No, number 8. Number 8. Okay, so if you can just explain that a little better.
So what this shows is if our students utilize the program, and you can see that our 3rd grade students used it more last year than our 5th graders, you know. So what that shows is if the students utilize the program, they made, according to the program, they made more lexile gains. So we have the average lexile gains that each student, that made. And then we have the biggest lexile gains, and those were based on the 90th percentile. So, so our focus is to continue to get kids to utilize the program so that they continue to make those larger gains. But I will tell you that we're doing other things other than Achieve, and students are continuing to grow in their lexile. It's just according to Achieve when they're on there. And the students have to, they have to make a 75 or higher to be even recorded on the test and the assessment itself to get points to continue to show those lexile gains. And they have to use it an average of 4 times within that month to continue to show that growth. If they use it less, then it continues to decline with them. So, I mean, we know those pieces and those components. We feel it's a strong program. We just need to get our kids excited about it.
All students are exposed to...
It's 3, 4, and 5, not our K through 2. Our K through 2 are in Lexia, which is a different type of program.
But every student in the classroom is exposed to it, and as they're voluntarily using it.
Right. It's what we're asking our teachers to do is make it accessible to them during their IE blocks. Our IE blocks is a time for our students to really kind of hone in and focus on the areas of need that they need. And for some of our students, like for example, I have a cohort in 3rd grade. Achieve might not be the right strategy for them. They might need to be in Lexia, which is more of a phonics program. So an Achieve is more of a comprehensive base, informational text piece. So they might not be ready for that piece of that component yet. So we take all of those things in consideration. It's just we want to get them on the program. We want to continue to get them reading. It is something that they use in the middle school, and we know that. So we're trying to get our kids prepared for that piece also.
That's great. And my other question has to do with the bullying numbers as well. How were the numbers assessed? The slide that's priority 3 is orange, where it says we're below the national and we have dropped from the prior year. So how was that bullying data collected? I'm just curious. Did we give them a questionnaire? Did we ask them verbally?
Right. So what happens is we buy an Alveus survey for our kids. It's already pre-made. It's something. It was the same survey that we gave last year, this year, so that our data lines up. The students are read the questions, and then they respond to them by our teachers, and then we send out the data. And it is collected, and I get a presentation based and a report based on what the kids answered.
The same students were asked 2 years in a row, or was it a different poll?
So it's always, last year, for the first year, we tried to poll our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students, but we noticed that our 3rd grade students, it was not age appropriate for them, so we pulled that. They were just too confused with some of the questions and the timelines. They weren't getting it. So we went ahead and started to go ahead and look at our 4th and 5th grade. So this year's 5th grade cohort actually had taken the test last year. So, you know, they'll have 2 years of it. It's a small piece, and depending on the cohort and how they are, you know, their experiences.
I want to compliment your graphics because they're extremely creative and engaging, and they kind of simplify things for us. So I really loved it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We got it. My husband helped with the graphics.
We don't have to give him
I give him credit for it. I can't give, this is videotaped. I cannot give him credit for it.
Okay, let's get watch it home.
Thank you very much for your presentation. That's what you do for Cherry Lane and our students. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, our next CSIP is Montebello. Dr. Ryder.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
He's old now. Look, the car's moving. I'll do this.
Okay. Stone by stone.
Thank you. Is everybody still with me?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so Montebello Elementary School. This is my 6th year at Montebello Elementary School. And 6 years, I know. In my 6 years there, one of the things that we are really proud of is that we rewrote the vision and mission statement. And this came from just a lot of work around the changing demographics in the building, and just also the changing world that we live in. The mission and vision statement that was written before was just a little antiquated. So we spent about 1.5 years composing it, and we have a beautiful sign now that hangs in our school that everyone sees at least twice a day when they enter and leave the building. And as you can read right there, Montebello Elementary School is a community of mindful leaders who use their voice to inspire others and profoundly impact the world around them. Really felt that that is what we need to teach our children and what we want to come out of the students at Montebello. And that's our vision. Our mission is to foster a passionate learning community where resilient, responsible, resourceful achievers embrace their unique worth and potential. And that really is who we are. One of the things that I feel is a priority is the social emotional learning of all students, and that without social emotional health and well-being, children cannot be successful academically. So that is one of the things that Montebello really stands on, and that is the foundation of everything that we are, is being resilient, responsible, and resourceful. And all of this is encompassed under mindfulness. Just a little profile. We have 365 junior mindful students, I call them, and 46 mindful teachers in our building. As you can see, our free and reduced numbers are 36% this year. Our attendance rate is 95%, ELL 17%, and we have 3 connections classes composed of kindergarten and first grade, 2nd and 3rd, and 4th and 5th. And one of our themes this year is high expectations for all. And this came out of, it sounds like something that would be very obvious, right? But this really came out of a conference that a team of teachers that my clinicians and I went to. It was an RTI conference, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But the mindset is that regardless of a child's label, whatever they might be, whatever socioeconomic background they come from, whatever it is, whatever lives they have at home, and it doesn't matter. High expectations for all. We are all capable of meeting these high expectations. And of course, we're going to do that in a way that is sensitive to each child's needs. Our 3 priorities this year are to increase student achievement in literacy, increase student achievement in math, and of course, improve attendance and student behavior. So we'll start with the increasing student achievement in literacy, and I'll go back to the first piece that I said, which was high expectations for all. We're looking to this year increase the K-2 overall DRA2 benchmark to 100%. Last year, I had it set at 86%. Let me double check that. I'm sorry, it was 82% is what we had last year. We went up 1%. But this year, like I said before, we are aiming for 100% proficiency on the K-2 DRA. And one of the ways that we're going to do this really is by looking at the data that we get from the DRA and from the Lexile and the students who use Lexile 4.5. We are using the units of study, which is Lucy Calkins' Units of Studies, and as Angela said before, we are a TC school this year. And we're going to be using our literacy aids in a different way. In the past at Montebello, we've only used them in kindergarten, but now we're going to start dispersing them a little bit in second grade and in first grade as well, where they're going to meet with children who have been identified as needing a little bit of a boost. At first, we're going to start with the students who are the closest to being on grade level, give them that boost, whether it's through flashcards or just fluency, where they'll read aloud with the child, and then we will move down the line from there, but we are going to start with our top, the higher tiered students. And this was a recommendation of Lisa Colopy, who is a professional developer at BOCES. We are also looking to increase the mean RIT map in grades 2 to 5 by 10 to 12 points. This is consistent with the last 3 years. It's an average of the last 3 years. This seems to be about the increase that we've had each year. The ELLs, we are looking for them to show 1 year's worth of growth, as demonstrated on the DRA. And of course, improve time on task with students. And this is something that we're doing through the clustering of ELLs in the building. This year we're trying something in our first and second grade. We have a classroom where there's actually a wall that was able to come down, so we removed the wall. We put the first and second grade classroom together. It is predominantly the ELLs, but there are also some English-speaking students in there. What we're doing there during the literacy block is pushing in our ELL, our ENL teacher, and also the reading specialist, and then you have the 2 classroom teachers, and then we really differentiate that reading block for those students. It also maximizes the amount of time that the ENL teacher can be in the room, as well as the literacy specialist. So we're hoping to get that's one of the ways we hope to get those students up to that 100% or on grade level by the end of second grade, which is really key in order for them to maintain success throughout their school years. And the clustering of I just said that. The self-contained classrooms, again, that's the connections classes, those special ed classrooms, the K1, 2, 3, and 4, 5. I didn't touch on guided reading, but guided reading is another one of our areas of focus, something that we've not been as diligent implementing in the upper grades. It's usually seen as something that is more of the lower grades, but we've done a lot of reading this summer and so many different conferences that we attended that talks about the benefits of guided reading even up until 5th grade. So that has become another one of our pushes this year as well. Increasing student achievement in mathematics. Once again, we'll be looking to increase the RIT map grades 2 to 5 by 20 to 25 points. And that's also consistent with the last 3 years. Looking to boost our proficiency 12% on the common assessment and improve time on task with students. And we're doing this through K through 2 is using investigations for the 2nd year in a row. 3rd grade is piloting investigations 3 this year. They use the workshop model in there, so it's small, whole, small, small, holes, small, whole, small, right? Also using Dreambox, which is what Angela also mentioned. Thank you, Angela, for doing some of the legwork for me here. Project Lead the Way, which is this amazing science modules where there's a lot of STEAM in part of that. So like animals and algorithms, grids and games, animated storytelling, all of these units also address math skills. Co-teaching, where we have the math specialist pushing into some classrooms, especially where we have teachers that have not taught math, as many years or in that grade. For example, I have a teacher that's new to 5th grade this year. She has taught only 4th grade before. So she's in 5th grade, so the literacy specialist pushes in and supports her during her math instruction, just to give her a little bit more support. So she's just not taking on all of these new content areas in 1 year. And we have improved student behavior and attendance. So last year, my goal was to decrease our already very high absentee rate by 10%. Instead, it went up significantly. We had 87 students who were absent 11 days or more in 2015-16, and in 2016-17 we had 118 students who were absent 11 days or more. So, I know, that was my reaction. How did this happen? So, how are we going to get this to reverse and stop this? Because obviously students need to be in school, and if we're going to set these goals for them, they have to actually be in school in order to learn the material. So at the response to intervention workshop that I was at 2 weeks ago, they talked about breaking out different intervention groups. So one would be an attendance team, for example, an academic team, and a behavior team. So we've already started with the attendance team at Montebello, where we pulled all of the students who had this frequent or chronic absenteeism issue last year, and we're running it every day. We're looking to see those names that are absent currently, to see if any of them are showing up again. And they already have, some already have. So what we're doing is contacting the parents through phone call. The next step will be a meeting. And hopefully that will get them to come to school. So that's one of our, really one of our big focuses next year. I hope to stand here next year and say that it is no longer an issue. We are looking to continue to reduce recess referrals and bus referrals by 50%. But this is a really exciting number because, I have to look back at my numbers, but last year, the goal was to reduce it 50%, and we did really, really well. Sorry. Okay. There were 29 bus referrals this time 2 years ago. Last year at this time, there were 5 bus referrals, and this year we only had 2 bus referrals. And 2 years ago at this time, we had 8 recess referrals. Last year at this time, we only had 1, and this year we only have 1. So this is really positive news. Why do we think this is? Number one, I definitely think it has something to do with the mindfulness practices that we do every morning. We have our mindfulness morning announcements. This year I've incorporated a poem every day. Teachers are always saying they don't have enough time for poetry, so I make the time for poetry now, and it's usually around generosity or kindness. So there's that piece that we start the day off. We have proactive behavior management training from one of our special ed teachers, Ms. Cancro. She has worked with the bus drivers, the lunch monitors, and all of the staff, and she continues to work with the new staff members that come into Montebello as well. And this is really just pointing out areas where, not every single thing needs to be brought to the principal. What can be handled in the lunchroom because it's a situation that is very minor versus what should be brought to me or even reported to the teacher. So we've teased a lot of those things out, so that has reduced the number of referrals and things that I get as well. So the behaviors are changing, but also the way that the adults are managing the behaviors is changing, and that is definitely huge. Another piece, this year I've moved my office, and I'm now up on the second floor, right next to the cafeteria, so proximity is wonderful. I can hear everything. I can just get up and go. The kids know that. I also want to highlight that the cameras that have been purchased for the buildings have been significant in student behavior, improving student behavior, because there have been times when I've had an issue last year in my office, and I would ask the child to explain what happened. They would explain what happened. I'd say, well, that's interesting. Look what I saw. And I can be able to put up on what the camera actually shows. I'm also able to do that for the buses. So that has been, I would appreciate that. I have to say, it's the way they try to backtrack is very entertaining. But they know that now, and so now they're like, I was looking. And they think, they're coming up where they
Word gets out pretty quick.
Well, they're also even up where they believe that I am watching all of their bus videos live all the time. They also do that. So it's not so bad, right? But I think that's helped. So, we do try to practice, good behavior even when no one's looking, but the cameras help, and I've also made it a point to be out of buses every single morning. Of course, there are times when I haven't been able to because of conferences, but Todd Whitaker spoke this summer to our administrative group and talked a lot about just presence. And one of the things he talked about that he prided himself on was being a principal that went on the buses every single morning. I have not been able to get on every bus. I think that the bus company would be very angry at me because they would be late to their next route. But I am there saying hello to the drivers, saying hello to the students, and picking up any issues that maybe are happening right on the spot. So they know that they are being heard, and that I think is making a very big difference. So some other highlights. the reading and writing project, we actually started, I'm sure Lane's is starting for a few more weeks. We've had K&2 training twice already with Christy is her name. I just took a quote from one of my teachers. What she said is that she modeled the importance of positive encouragement and to keep going, as well as I think I can attitude that is fundamental to building confidence in writing. And then I'll let you read another time what Christy said. She really is enjoying coming upstate. One of her favorite things is to see the trees. She appreciates the trees and the views that we have. And she thinks the schools are beautiful. So it's always nice to get that feedback from someone who's in a lot of city schools. She is very impressed with being in Suffern Central. So you should know that as well. And the work has been amazing that she's been doing with the teachers, speaking with them in small groups, and then she models a lesson. The students respond to her as if she's here every single day. The teachers have some on-the-spot training with the students, and it's right, and it's very natural. It's a very natural process. And then we go back and we debrief with them. So it's been wonderful. I'm able to go in and see teachers staying on time with their mini lessons, which are only supposed to be 10 minutes long, and students that are engaged. So it's been a wonderful learning experience for me as well. I know last year you probably agreed to purchase a lot of furniture throughout the district, so I just want to take a moment to thank you for that as well. And these are great pictures, but the best of the best, you need to come into the schools and actually see it and see the students learning and working, because it will blow your mind. I think, thinking about how we grew up and how we had to sit in desks at school versus what learning looks like now, you'll want to be back in school again, where you're allowed and get up, and it's just such an amazing collaborative environment. It's very relaxed, but also structured. And students have an option, of course, to sit in traditional desks, which they ask for sometimes, and that's great, because that means that now they know what their learning style is. So we're giving them all of these tools so many years ahead, but I don't, and that's for sure.
We got a taste of the furniture when we visited, like the middle
Good
school,
city.
the swivel seats, and they go up and down. I even said those hardwood chairs that we grew up in.
Yes, so there are
Kids
some
don't
that
know how
I'm
much
not
they are
trying
these
to
days. Let's just say that.
Yeah, no, definitely not age appropriate.
They're awesome.
Of course, I want to invite everyone to our Montebello, our Montebello Family and Community Night, which is not showing up, but that's on December 7th.
We have it.
We have it.
You can just turn it off. That's always an amazing evening for everyone that does it and for everyone who shows up. So please feel free to join us. Again, that's on December 7th. And last but not least, I don't have a video, but I have dogs. This is Sydney to Jesse and Douglas, our new mindful puppies that will be joining us on October 26th. I want to thank Steve Walker for bringing this idea to Montebello. They are Paws for a Cause. They're therapy dogs. And if you've been in hospitals recently or libraries, you'll see a lot of these therapy dogs, and they make such a difference with patients and with children. So what we're doing to start, because they are in such high need, they don't have as many dogs as we would like at one time. I actually thought we were going to have a school dog. I thought it wasn't leaving, but it turns out they take them home. They have been through so much training, these dogs, and the classes that they're going to start working in are the therapeutic K1 class and then the therapeutic 2-3 class. And then hopefully they'll get another dog who can do the 4-5 class. And they're going to work a lot on self-regulation with the students. And so what that might look like is the dog sitting in the center and the students having to pay a compliment to the dog for a certain amount of time or some activity, but at the end they'll be allowed to pet the dog. But the idea is to be able to restrain and just control that behavior. The dogs can only work for 45 minutes at a time, which is why we can only have the one class at a time, and they'll rotate every other week. But we're really, really looking forward to Jesse and Douglas joining us. So I think that's just, I think two of the 5 elementary schools we've heard from tonight, but one of the things about Suffern Central is that we definitely are extraordinary, and these are just some of the things that highlight that. So I think I just like to end with this quote that the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra, and I just think that you've continued to give that to our schools, and everyone appreciates it, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Okay, so my question is regarding the first and second graders being joined, or how much of their day, and is there like a flexible wall that then
Yes,
goes?
there is a flexible wall that goes down, but believe it or not, I would invite you in to come look at this classroom because I should have put some pictures up. It's beautifully designed, the way the teachers did it, and they actually separated where the wall was. They have like a little movable library now. But even when there's instruction going on in both classrooms at the same time, you don't hear it. And there used to be, years ago, I want to say maybe the 80s, there's like 80s, 70s, open classroom theory, right? I don't know if you have it, but so they don't even hear each other, they don't get distracted by each other. The time period that they're together for a day is about 90 minutes, the literacy block period. So that's about 90 minutes.
I would love to see it actually.
Absolutely, it's
As
really
well.
wonderful to see, it's incredible.
And your other classrooms with the new furniture, flexible seating, I'm using the word again. The pictures are so telling because the kids at this age, you can never get them to pause this well. But they're so incredibly engaged, even though the seating is so relaxed, but they're very engaged. You know, I really love the pictures.
They are.
They tell a story.
Lee Weber was doing walkthroughs, we were doing walkthroughs one day, we walked into a math lesson, and to someone who's not in education, who's not aware of flexible seating, they would have thought, what is going on in this place, right? There's a kid, he's sitting in the teacher's chair with his feet up on something, and two kids are in a rocker, and one kid's all the way back in the rocker, but he was raising his hand, and he was on task, and he knew what was going on, they're taking notes. I mean, they're really just able to learn because that's their learning style. And then there were students in traditional desks as well.
Whatever works for each individual, and that's the point.
Absolutely.
Okay,
So thank you for that. Because
thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you very much for the work you do for us. Thank you. Okay, we now have public participation of pretty much any school district business.
Good evening, like I said, the record, my name is Zan Sharp. I'm here in reference on behalf of my daughter, an issue with her busing. I was actually in East Rampo district until they did an audit. I got kicked off from the system. I live right on the border between the districts. And I lived before, prior to moving to this area, I lived in East Rampo district, so I just continued with the services I was getting from them. This happened just as the closing date from the enrollment period was closing. I wasn't exactly aware of all the deadline because previously I didn't have issues with the deadline. I looked up the information according to the handbook from the non-public schools and from New York State. They state specifically that if there's a student that has a bus that passes the house and there's no additional cost, the student, even though the application was sent in later than the date it's supposed to be in, if there's no additional cost expense to the district, there's no reason why the school would be denied. I applied, I sent them an appeal, and I was denied that appeal also. I'd like to know on what basis I was denied when specific handbooks from the state guidelines specifically states that they cannot be denied.
Okay, this is not we don't go back and forth during the session. Everything you say we're going to note, and obviously it's going to be recorded. But it's the first time I don't even know what you're talking about, to be honest with you.
Can we get?
I don't even know what you're referring to, so when we don't go back and forth, we're going to listen to your comments, is what we're up here for at this time.
You want to say something?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to reword what my colleague said, is that we're not allowed in the meeting to actually respond to the public comments. We take note of them and we address them with administration, but not publicly. Also, when it has to do with a particular student, we're not allowed to discuss it publicly.
Right, so it's just, now you're saying it's any time someone gets up here at the podium.
And I should expect an answer to anything from how and when?
So we would refer you to the superintendent.
That's Dr. Evans?
Yes.
So I should be addressing my statements to him or general? I would like to know when I can expect any answer. I have to know what to do. I just know that my child comes home crying each night. What's happening with him? I can have busing like every other kid.
Sure, I understand. I think we'll have to address it. Obviously, you brought it up. We'll have to address it with the district, I should say, the administration.
Just as a side note, while we were dealing with all this, that's nothing pertaining to this specifically, but we were also dealing with a personal crisis at home. And I've, thank God, this in remission now, but she had this serious health issue at the same time this was happening. I don't want to go into specific details, but if anyone wants to know, I can show them the paperwork from the doctors concerning that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Andrew Dale. I'm from RP County Elementary School. I'm sorry to have to get up here again. But there's currently a child that's been out of school for 8 days because he just doesn't feel safe in school. And part of being told to kill himself by classmates, which we were told was not bullying. Doctor had written orders to have a safety plan meeting per the school district's policy 0115, declaring to go back to school. The doctor is requiring a safety plan meeting before clearing the child and named 3 specific people he'd like to have in attendance for 3 specific reasons. The principal demanded that he be cleared by the doctor before the safety plan meeting would occur. And also stating that, they would decide which people they would deem appropriate for the meeting. So it's like a dog chasing his tail right now. We're just going around in a circle. The doctor wants a safety meeting so he can clear the child, and the principal wants the child cleared before they can have the safety meeting. All the time with no consideration for the mental well-being of a 10-year-old child. This is a premier school district that not one staff member calls to even check in on the child or send him a note, or to even just try and make him feel like he has an ounce of self-worth. I can't seem to find in the school district's policy where the principal gets to override doctor's orders. If it's in there, please just show it to me, because you guys know that I know these policies basically inside and out. Once again, I'm not sure if it's nonfeasance, not knowing the policies, or just plain out personal retaliation. But if anybody here is not sure what I'm ranting about, I'm ranting because I just want a safe environment for my child at school. I want him to go to school and feel safe, just like every other parent in this district should demand. And if you think I'm upset, I am. I've been a parent in this school district for 12 years, and until this year, never had to get up. I never had to address anything. Last meeting, I was here and I informed you of everybody here of the incident that had transpired with my son, and he was told to kill himself. Once again, there was no action. At this point, I really. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, if we have no more public speakers, superintendent closing comments?
None.
Okay, I'd like a motion to adjourn. Okay, Teresa, second by Monty, all in favor?
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.